Hello, myself Dr. Shyamdas Bandyopadhyay, your new teacher in immunology. Let me first introduce myself. I did my master's from Banaras Hindu University in zoology with a major in molecular and human genetics, and then I pursued my PhD from Pune in National Center for Cell Science, and then I moved to United States for my postdoctoral research, which I did in Yale University. It's one of the premier institutes in USA. Presently, I'm teaching in a college. So, I'll teach you some interesting topics in immunology. That's what my plan is. We'll go one after another. If you like my videos, if I assume that you are liking my lessons, so we can move one chapter after another, and then my videos will be useful for all of you, especially those who are in the UG or PG classes, or especially the aspiring students of CSR NET exam in life science. So if you have any question, please do not hesitate to write that in the comment section, and I'll definitely find time to answer your question. In case if you like my video, please do subscribe my channel and put a thumbs up, like my videos. It will inspire me to upload more videos on relevant topics of immunology or zoology later on. So I'd like to begin the lesson with a discussion on the complement system. So in immunology, the system of complement is one of the most interesting and important. So let us begin our understanding in immunology from the complement system. There will be many occasions where you will be asked, like, who has discovered the complement system. So it is very much interesting, and you should know that the complement system was discovered by a German scientist whose name was Paul Ehrlich, and because of this seminal discovery in immunology, he received Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1908. So according to Paul Ehrlich, the complement, it is the activity of blood serum that completes the activity of the antibody. So it is very much important to mention that a set of heat labile, that means in other words heat sensitive serum proteins that cooperates with both the innate and the adaptive immune system to eliminate blood and tissue pathogens. By saying that, you have to understand that complement system works to eliminate the blood and tissue pathogens. So it acts as an interface between innate and adaptive immune system. And interestingly, that the proteins involved in executing the task in these systems are heat sensitive. That means if you heat up the serum, the proteins which are functionally important for the running the complement system will be destroyed. Now let us understand some of the essential features, some of the salient features of the complement proteins. Number one, most complement proteins are synthesized in the liver by hepatocytes. That means if you are asked that which organ or cell types are important for synthesizing the proteins involved in the complement system, so you have to know that it is the liver which is very important in synthesizing the complement proteins. Now the complement system works like a catalytic cascade. That means there are a number of proteins involved in the system which works one after the another. So that is what a cascade means, and it's a catalytic system because the proteins remain as an inactive enzyme that when proteolytically clipped will give rise to an active enzyme. So that's a kind of catalysis that happens in the complement system's protein. Number three, various complement components bind and opsonize bacteria, rendering them susceptible to receptor-mediated phagocytosis by macrophages which express membrane receptors for complement proteins. That means that the bacteria which invade as foreign pathogens in our immune system the complement system has the potential to remove that bacteria. Number 4, the complement proteins elicit inflammatory responses. So they have the capacity to induce inflammation, right? Number 5, it acts at the interface with the components of the adaptive immune system. So that makes like a bridge between innate and adaptive immune system. Number 6, it clear immune complexes formed by antigen antibody molecules in the serum and eliminate apoptotic cells. And number 7, a membrane attack complex or MAC assembled from complement proteins directly kills some pathogens by creating pores in microbial membranes. So these are some of the interesting features that you have to remember for your competitive exam. So in this lesson, what we'll basically understand is that the protein factory which are involved in executing the task, number 1. Number 2, their mechanism of action, that means how these proteins function, perform in this system. And number 3, their regulation and certain other things like their evolution, how the complement system came, and all these things. So let us start with the proteins involved in the complement system. So there are set of proteins in the beginning that is called initiators. So there will be some proteins which will initiate a complement response, and that initiation happens when there will be a pathogen. So this is the antigen from the pathogen that interact with a particular antibody, green in color, and when this happens, what happens is that the proteins in the complement system, they can recognize this particular antigen antibody complex, which is called immune complex. So this immune complex can be recognized by the initiator proteins, and thereby the reaction of the complement system can start. Now in the next step, what happens is that there will be the generation of convertase protein. That means there will be certain proteins which will have the potential to convert an inactive complement component into an active component of complement system. So those proteins which perform this task are called convertase. So once these convertase proteins are generated, they will perform their task, and then there are chances of either opsonization or creation of anaphylatoxins or creation of membrane attack complex, etc. Therefore you have a choice what happens when the convertase enzymes are generated. So there could be opsonization, in other words, that means promotion of phagocytosis of the invading pathogens, let's say bacteria, or maybe there could be anaphylatoxins. The anaphylatoxins are generated when complement proteins are activated and cleaved into a smaller and a bigger component part, so then they can create inflammation. So this kind of incident created by the activated complement protein are called anaphylatoxins. So the protein part is called anaphylatoxins, and the phenomenon is called anaphylatoxis. And then it could be a membrane attack complex which is generated in this reaction cascade. That means this membrane attack complex will have the potential to create a pore in the pathogen so that the pathogen cell can be lysed. However, it is interesting to note down that this component of the complement system, in most of the time, they cannot perform significant damage to the host cells, because there are certain components in the host cells, in the host serum, that serves like an umbrella, and this umbrella prevent the host cells from getting damage from its own complement protein. Let us now understand about the types of complement system that exist in our body. So there are three pathways in which the complement system operates. The first pathway is called the classical pathway, and the second pathway is called the lectin pathway, and the third pathway that exists is called alternative pathway. So the classical pathway is initiated when an antigen antibody immune complexes are formed, and what happens is that because of the creation of these antigen antibody complexes, a portion at the Fc region of the antibody is exposed in such a way where the initiator components of the complement system of the classical pathway can bind, and therefore the component proteins of the initiator proteins are activated by proteolytic cleavage. So what happens is that when this proteolytic cleavage occurs, they have the potential to join with the C2. So C2 is another component in the cascade of the classical pathway, and followed by joining with C4. Now what happens is that this C4 is, because this enzyme is now activated, the C4 is cleaved into a bigger form which is called C4b, or a smaller form which is C4a. So by convention, the bigger form is called CB and the smaller form is designated as A. So the bigger form now joins this particular complex and form the C3 convertase. So once the C3 convertase is formed, what happens is that they have the potential to cleave the C3 into C3a and C3b. So now this C3b joins the complex and then forms C5 convertase. So when you say C3 or C5 convertase, that means this particular component has the potential to convert an inactive C5 into an active component. So that is why they are called convertase. Now let's consider the lectin pathway. So lectin pathway is initiated when the pattern recognition receptors are recognized by the lectins. So basically this lectin can recognize the pattern recognition receptor on the present on the foreign pathogen, and that then activated, and once this complex is activated, what happens is that they join the C4 component of the lectin pathway. So this C4 is common for both classical as well as lectin pathway. Now when they join the C4 component of the lectin pathway, they again form C3 convertase followed by formation of the C5 convertase. When C5 convertase is formed, now C5 is cleaved from there will be a proteolytic cleavage that converts an inactive C5 into an active C5b and C5a. Now the alternative pathway is initiated by the spontaneous hydrolysis of pathogenic surfaces. So because of this spontaneous hydrolysis, what happens is that there will be other protein factors present in the serum that joins this complex, and it forms the C3 convertase, and C3 convertase then form the C5 convertase, and that's how the cascade keeps continuing. Now let us discuss in greater details about the classical pathway of the complement system. So the classical pathway is a part of the adaptive immune system because the classical pathway can recognize the antigen antibody complex, and as you know, antibody or immunoglobulins are the products of the humoral immune system, which is adaptive immune system. So what happens is that in the classical pathway of the complement activation, it begins with the formation of antigen antibody complexes, IgM or certain subtypes of IgG. That means other antibodies are not part of the cascade. Only IgM or certain subtypes of IgG can form the immune complex, and that then induces conformational changes in the Fc portion of the antibody molecule. So Fc portion is that portion which do not bind antigen, and because of this binding, what happens is that there will be a conformational change that exposes a binding site for the C1 component of the complement, and therefore the C1 component can bind with this antigen antibody complex. So what happens is that upon activation of this C1 complex, now what happens is that it has the potential to cleave C4 and C2, right? And when they cleave either C4 or C2, what happens is that it forms a C3 convertase. So the component that is the part of the C3 convertase is C4b to A. And now this C3 convertase, what it does is that it makes a proteolytic cleavage on C3. So an inactive C3 is now proteolytically cleaved and C3b and C3a are generated. So this C3b now joins the complex, and this complex is now called a C5 convertase. When this C5 convertase is formed, now it can actually cleave the inactive C5 into an active C5 complex. Because what happens is that after the formation of the active C5 complex, the remaining pathway is same for rest of the other two pathways, like the lectin pathway and the alternative pathway. So we can discuss that after we complete discussion with the lectin and alternative pathway. So now let us see what happens in the lectin pathway. So this is the lectin pathway. What happens is that in case of the lectin pathway, the proteins involved is called MBL or mannose binding lectin. So this is a protein that is present in the serum, and that also joins MASP. And what happens is that this is MBL activated serine proteases. So together the MBL and MASP, they form C3 convertase. Once they can bind with the mannose, the term MBL comes from the mannose binding lectin. That means the mannose is present on the foreign pathogens like bacteria cell wall, and what happens is that this complex can bind with this mannose, and once they are bound with this mannose, they are now activated. So this activated form is called the C3 convertase. So once they form the C3 convertase, then the pathway is similar in either lectin and the classical pathway. So what happens in the case of alternative pathway? So in this case, there will be spontaneous hydrolysis of the C3 component, and because of this spontaneous hydrolysis, the factor B has an affinity with this component and it joins the complex, and then factor D also joins the complex, and the fluid phase C3 convertase is created. When you say it is fluid phase C3 convertase, that means it is present in the plasma. Now this from this fluid phase convertase, what is generated is a membrane bound C3 convertase, and this membrane is the membrane of the foreign pathogen, let's say bacteria. So what happens is that this membrane bound convertase now can convert the inactive C3 protein into an active component, and that the new complex is called C5 convertase. Now when the C5 convertase is formed, that inactive C5 is converted from an active component of the C5. Now as I said in earlier, like the rest of the pathways are same for all three pathways. So the formation of the C3 and C5 convertase is very interesting and very important in the complement system. Now you'll ask me, what after the formation of the C5 complex, C5 convertase? Now as I said, what happens is that the C5 convertase, it cleaves the C5 to make it an active one. So this active part is here. Now it induces C6 component of the complement system to join the complex, and then C7 also joins the complex, and then comes the C8, and then comes the C9, and there will be numerous C9 that joins the complex and forms a membrane attack complex. So this, what is this membrane attack complex? Basically they form a kind of pore to the cell membrane on the membrane of the bacteria, and once this pore is formed, the cell can be now lysed. So that is the basics of the complement system. Now if we just quickly summarize what happened, so there are three pathways. The one is the classical pathway, and another is the lectin pathway, and the third and the final is the alternative pathway. So the ultimate aim of all three pathway is to form C3 and C5 convertase, and once this convertase is formed, then what happens is the remaining components of the complement system can join, and they can form a membrane attack complex. Once the membrane attack complex is formed, they can sit on the membrane of the bacteria or any foreign organism that invade our system, that tends to invade our system, and then it kinds of lyses the cells. So it will be interesting to discuss the functions of the complement system under the heading of innate defense against infection. So it lyses the bacterial cell membrane, it opsonizes and induce inflammation and chemotaxis by anaphylatoxins. So what is opsonization? Opsonization, I have mentioned the definition of opsonization is here. For your ease of understanding, opsonization is the promotion of phagocytosis. So by coating, what does it coat? The antibody coats the antigen, and thereby it can promote the phagocytosis of that particular antigen, right? And so the complement system acts at the interface between innate and adaptive immunity, right? By augmenting antibody responses, by enhancing immunologic memory, by enhancing antigen presentation and potential effects on T cells. And the third and final important function of the complement system is that the complement system acts in the contraction phase of the immune response by clearing immune complexes from tissues, by clearing the apoptotic cells, and by inducing regulatory T cells. Now, like any other biological system, the complement system also needs to be tightly regulated, because unregulated complement system will, what it will generate is host damage, and that is undesired, and therefore our body also has a mechanism by which it controls or regulates the function of the complement system. So the first is the dissociation of the C1 components. So because the C1 components are the initiator components, so there is a particular protein called C1NH that can induce dissociation into its component parts. So once it is dissociated, the C1q, C1R2 and S2, they are dissociated from each other, and therefore they no longer can function. Number 2, the decay accelerating factor. So this factor, decay accelerating factor or DAF, they can degrade C4B2A or C3BBB into its component parts, and once they are dissociated in this way, they no longer can function, right? Next, the factor I cofactor activity. So what it does, it basically clips C3b or C4b into smaller fragments, and therefore the C3b or C4b, they can no longer function in the system. And next is the inhibition of lysis. So there are some kind of proteins called protectins, etc., CD59, that inhibit the cellular lysis, host cell lysis. That means these protein factors, they serve as the umbrella for the host cell, and therefore it prevents the host cells from getting damage from the complement system. And sometimes the anaphylatoxins are cleaved into smaller components by carboxypeptidase N, carboxypeptidase B, carboxypeptidase R. Because there is always race between microbes and the host, so microbes always tend to evolve as the host evolve. So that means the microbes have some kind of evasion strategies so that they are no longer recognized by the part of the complement system. So what microbes do is that, for example, the Staphylococcus, it has a protein called protein A which can bind with the antibody, and therefore what it does is that it reduces the total amount of antibody in the serum. So the antibody is no longer available to generate the antigen antibody complex. Number 2, there are proteins that bind and inactivate complement proteins. For example, in Staphylococcus aureus, the protein SCIN binds and inactivates the C3BBB/C3 convertase. There are other examples of proteases like alkaline phosphatase, elastase from Pseudomonas that degrade C1q and C3b. So this kind of protease mediated destruction of complement component also helps the microbe to evade the complement system. Sometimes the proteins from bacteria or microbes, they can mimicry the complement regulatory components, and by this kind of mimicry they can regulate the complement system and brings it towards their favor. Finally, you have to understand the evolution of the complement pathway. So as you can see from the figure, the alternative pathway is very old. So perhaps it was present even in the Cnidarians, and relatively recent is the classical pathway, and lectin pathway is in between the alternative and the classical pathway. So the genes which are created was due to gene duplication. So gene duplication is a major mechanism that created many of the genes involved in the complement system. So up to this, I think this will be sufficient for your understanding of how complement system works in our body, especially in the mammals. And you can now go through any immunology books, whatever you have. I'll especially recommend Kubi's Immunology. If you have Kubi's Immunology, just go through. I think I'm sure that you can understand what is written and explained in the Kubi's Immunology. Let me know if you have any question. You can just write down your question in the comment section. Whenever I find time, I'll answer your questions. Thank you very much for watching the video.